Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here. I hope you're having a great day and I hope this video can make it a little bit better. Today we're going to be breaking down all of the constellations and putting them all in a tier list. So we will be looking at the entire constellation, other than that of just like the gemstone upgrades, as those aren't too impactful. So we're going to be listing all of the constellations, all the powers you have within there, and seeing how much they improve the champion. So this isn't just going to be listing the raw power of the constellations, but how much this actually improves the overall champion. So it's a little bit of a balancing act of how weak the champion is and then how much strength they're getting. So some champions that are a little bit weaker, if they have a very impactful constellation, they're going to be ranked a lot higher. There's some champions that they're already so strong, so even if they get a lot of power from their constellation, if they don't really need all of that power, they might be ranked a little bit lower. That's the general framework of this video though. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, like and subscribe is greatly appreciated, and let's get into it. Here we have the tier list. Everyone over here in the corner are people we haven't ranked yet. We're going to be going through and ranking all of the champions, all of their entire constellations, other than the gemstones, because gemstones aren't really going to be that impactful. And then with that, we're not going to be looking at how the constellation is laid out, because since we're looking at the constellation overall, the layout doesn't really matter. Also, we are going to be balancing how powerful the constellation is, as well as how much the champion actually needs it, how much of an improvement it is for the champion. So some champions like Jinx, even though they might have a very powerful constellation, since they're already so strong, they might be ranked a little bit lower. So that's kind of the layout for how we're going to be doing it. We're going to try to do it in roughly alphabetical order. So we're going to start off with Aatrox. So let's move over here. Hello, Shiguri. Shigura? I'm going to guess. All right, so Aatrox, his constellation, pretty solid upgrades. First up are the teeth, giving just a nice amount of stat increases. While stat increases can be a little bit more boring, Aatrox is a unit focused deck. You need your units to be strong, so anything helping them is actually more impactful than some other champions. Mana flow, this is what every champion other than like Kai'Sa gets, this exact one. So extra mana, very helpful. Also helpful for Aatrox since you're about reducing down the cost of your cards, so playing more in those early periods. With Aatrox, you can very easily run Starforge, so you can get 4 mana. And then I think I'm actually going to let's actually, I think, move the camera over here, even though that's a little weird, just so that you guys can actually see the 6-star. Anyway, so Darken Awakened, when you summon a Transform Darken, double its stats. Very good for your Aatrox, because he's going to get this twice when he's summoned, and then when he levels, he's technically transforming. And then when he levels up and all your units become Darken, all their stats will get doubled as well. So very powerful, and that pairs very well with over here. World Ender gets Chalice of Harmony twice, so 6 cost reduction. This is what you need to play to level up your Aatrox, so getting 6 off of this is massive. And this also gets reduced down whenever you strike or from your other star powers. So being able to level up your Aatrox, so he's doubling his stats again. All your followers, your Darken, also getting doubled stats. Really good pairing right here. 8 regen, very strong. Healing up 8 after every fight, giving you great sustain, especially in those tougher adventures. Support champs have Iceborne Gauntlet. Not that synergistic, but it is very strong and just giving you essentially free removal for taking out the strongest enemy unit. Really good. You probably want to go for a cheaper support champion because of this. Equipment you acquire in adventures have Phage, so additional 2/2 over the fact they're already going to get 2/2 from being equipped. And then also whatever stats are already on the equipment. So again, just giving you a lot of stats, which, while a little bit more on the boring side, very helpful for a unit-focused deck. And then each Darken follower has an item. That is really good. These ones down here are all of the gemstone ones, which don't really matter as much because half of these every champion has. So we won't be bearing in mind those. Overall, I think your star powers all work together very well as Aatrox. So I think for him, probably going to put him... I'm kind of leaning towards the B tier. So he's someone that can struggle against the tougher challenges, especially Lissandra. The biggest thing is the Lissandra fight itself. So you could use a little bit of extra help. And I think Aatrox does get a good amount of benefit from this. What are you all thinking as far as chat? Do you agree with Aatrox kind of being more in the B tier, or are you thinking he should be a little bit higher or a little bit lower? Okay, you're thinking, well, one person's thinking a little bit more in the C tier. I'm leaning towards the B tier for right now, but that might shift as we get more champions up here. It's mostly Aatrox buffs. Darkin still need setups with B or C. I mean, a lot of your buffs are, like your equipment buff is buffing pretty much all of your units, since you're going to aim for all of your units being equipped. So that's hitting everyone. And then you're also increasing the speed of your game, because you're getting that extra mana. You're getting a lot of cost reduction on your level up spell. Yeah, the 6 mana World Ender is pretty crazy. So you can level up your Aatrox super fast. Also, remember for Aatrox, when he levels, which is going to be really easy and fast now because of that 6 cost reduction, when he levels, all of your Darkin followers cost 5 less. So he kind of functions similar to like Nautilus or Aurelian Soul that give you cost reduction for a lot of your special cards. So with Aatrox, him getting leveled, not only is he going to be a massive stat unit, but he's also then giving you a massive cost reduction for a lot of your other Darkin cards, which they're trying to get you to stack in your deck. Yes, so his transform and level up happens at the same time. Yes, this is a tier list for the entire Constellation, kind of other than the gemstones, because those aren't really that important. So I think we'll put Aatrox in B for now. No one's really convinced me to lower him yet. We'll see how things shape up with some of the other champions. That might make me drop him down a little bit, but at the moment I think he is pretty solid with the upgrades he's getting. I also think he is going to be needing the help a little bit more than some of the other champions. That being said, most of this is all speculation on all of our parts, because you can't really get a lot of the champions fully maxed out. Like, I have a couple, I like 3 of them at 5 stars, but that's about it. So for right now, I think we'll go for the B tier, and let's move over for Ashe. There we go. Alright, so for Ashe, up first, Treacherous Terrain. One of the best 4 stars in the entire game as far as impact for the champion. So each round, the first time an enemy summons a unit, frostbite it. So now you're not only frostbiting the strongest unit at the start of the round, also when they summon it, so you're getting 2 frostbites for free, essentially. This is also really good against some very strong and difficult targets, such as like Zed, or just anyone where they immediately want to play their champion. Really, really good. Mana flow, same as everyone. Gift of Avarosa. So when you decrease an enemy's power, randomly distribute that much power among allies in hand. This is really good because you're already getting like 2 frostbites for free every round. So that's a good way to buff up your own board, or your own deck, or hand, that is. But then also the worse enemies you're going against, the stronger you are as well. So you're scaling into harder content because you're getting more power. So this is very nice that it's scaling with you depending on what you're doing, whereas a lot of the other ones are just a kind of static effect. Here though, if you're going against tougher units, you're going to get more of an impact from this. So this is really solid, should help you end games a lot faster. As far as the bonus stars, rerolled and extra gold, solid. Your support champs have Stalker's Blade. This will actually be really good, especially when you have your 6-star, because you can have them sit in hand, get buffed up by this Gift of Avarosa, and then when you drop your support champion, they're going to take out potentially a very strong enemy target. Now this is going to be the weakest, but you can manually manipulate that somewhat as far as frostbites. So if you don't have someone frostbite on the board, you can then frostbite them. They'll go to 0 power, so then they will be the weakest. So it's not going to be 100%, but there are ways you can kind of try to make sure you're hitting a certain enemy. Anyways, this is a decent upgrade, giving you some more removal. Enraged Yeti having Philosopher's Stone and Great Club. Solid, not crazy, but it's okay. And this kind of lets you try to go towards a little bit more of a Yeti playstyle if you want, because any card that summons an enraged Yeti can help you here. Freljordian followers you acquire in adventures have Giant's Belt. This one's honestly a little bit less impactful, especially considering many of the other constellations and the upgrades they get. It's nice, but not that big of a deal. Flash Freeze has Mana Potion. This is actually very nice. Flash Freeze is your go-to way to frostbite units on demand. This is also your champion spell for Ashe, so going for like Grand General's Counterplan or anything like that, where you're generating more of these, they're all costing less. So that's pretty good. So that's it for all of the upgrades, and I think for Ashe, she is probably going to go up in potentially the S tier. It's a little bit difficult. I think I'm somewhat conflicted because Ashe gets a bunch of bonuses from her powers. It makes her way better, but I still think there's other constellations that have a lot more power in their kit. So it's a bit hard. Like, I don't think Ashe has the strongest powers, but I think she's so much improved, I'm really struggling. Impact on her champion makes it S. Right now, A. In the future, maybe S. Yeah, that's... So people in chat are also kind of conflicted. I think this one really comes down to your own personal rankings. I think I'll put her up in A or S for now, but really it's bearing in mind, is this the strongest power? No, not even close, definitely not. But is this helping her out more than most other champions? Yes. So I would say you could definitely put her more in like A tier. Think we'll put her in S for right now just because of how much it's improving, but just bear that in mind with the ranking. Put her in AS for Ashe. Yeah, we'll put her there right now, and let's keep on moving on. Alright, so this isn't really going to be in necessarily alphabetical order, but I want to just get rid of all these ones up here. So we'll hop around a little bit more. Ashe falls apart in the Formidable node in Lysandra. So let's just grab Gwen. For Gwen with the Constellation, so Crush, Allies of Overwhelm. Really nice. Running Overwhelm was pretty much mandatory on your Gwen, so this is really just freeing up a relic slot for you to make a more impactful relic build. Mana Flow, always nice. Potentially lets you play your Gwen 1 round early. Last Stand. This is actually going to be pretty strong. So summon 4 Ghastly Bands and Rally. So that is your normal ephemeral unit. Now you should already be summoning 1 from your first or 3rd star power. And then you're summoning 4 more. So you should have 5 of these at the very start of the game. And you have Rally, so you're going to make sure you have the attack token. This will be very good. 1 for just putting on the pressure on the enemy early. Getting your Hallowed stacked up very quickly. And then also you could pair this with Disciple of Shadows to drop your Gwen and level her round 1, regardless of the extra mana. So pretty impactful. While this is just game start, it could let you just consistently get an OTK with your Gwen every single game. Pretty good. Moving on though, Nexus Health and Gold. That's fine. Support champions have heavy hands, so double attack. Double attack with your Hallowed mechanic, so you can buff them up with a bunch of power from Hallowed, and then they're able to punch through. You have Crush, they have Overwhelm. This is kind of hilarious because it's on the one hand super strong, but on the other hand, Gwen is already so strong you don't really need this. But it is a massive power upgrade. Sapling Toss having Hex Tech Fabricator. That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I honestly don't really use Sapling Toss that much as Gwen. Like, it's good, but it's not like it's that needed. Followers you acquire in adventures have Miraculous Melody, Hallowed, just to help be consistent with your Hallowed mechanic. Again, this won't make that big of a deal for you, but it's still good. And then Ghastly Band has Skirmishing Saber. Really solid upgrade. Same thing that Viego has. And it's really just helping you out because you want your units, your ephemerals, to have that challenger to make sure they always get the best trades so your other units can be safe. Because you don't care about if an ephemeral unit dies because it's dying anyways. So this will be very solid. And again, it's just freeing up kind of a relic spot because then you don't have to run Blade Rack. So overall, a lot of very good upgrades for your Gwen. So I feel like for Gwen, at least A tier, because she was already really good. Yeah, she's already incredibly strong, but with the full Constellation, you potentially might just be able to consistently end games turn 1. Yeah, that is kind of the issue, is does Gwen really need it? Not as much. But I mean, there are a solid amount of champions in here that don't necessarily need all the extra power. It's definitely more impactful, or definitely it's better than Aatrox. While Aatrox might need the power a little bit more, Gwen is just still getting such a larger upgrade. So the tier list is a bit of a balancing act between how impactful and strong the Constellation is, balanced with the fact of how much the champion need the power, like how much the Constellation is improving the champion. That's the general value of the tier list. So since they're going to be improved by the strength of the Constellation and also how much they also need the power. So yeah, it's really how much of the Constellation improving the champion overall. If the champion is already absolutely insane, the Constellation probably not going to be able to move them a lot further up. So this one, that is a little bit difficult for Gwen. She is very strong already. I will say she can actually struggle with being a little bit too slow in some of the tougher challenges. So this one, giving her a lot of early game power, is actually helping you. Because Gwen, while she is good, she's not S tier anymore for the general tier list. A lot of other champions have taken her spot there. So she has moved down a little bit, and she could use a bit of the extra power. It's not like she's one of the most broken champions in the game anymore. Constellations might change that, though. Alright, so I think we'll put Gwen in A tier. Again, at the end, we'll try to look at everyone and see if we need to adjust anything. But yeah, we'll leave her in A tier for now. Most people are agreeing with that. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on then. Yeah, we'll just go in order here. So, Jinx. So, Sorcery, Round Start, refill your spell mana. Very nice, especially since you're trying to go for a more spells-focused deck. Also, pretty much the best build with Gwen. Alright. Gwen with Jinx is the one right here, at least in my opinion. The double plunder and loose cannons payload. So you play Jinx round 1, she discards her entire hand, and then since she levels, she makes 2 super death rockets. With this Constellation, you are then able to play those in the very first round. So, very nice. Always have that mana. Then, mana flow, get an extra mana gem. Same as everyone. Solid. Then, get Jinx. Your spells and skills deal double damage. Flat, simple, just doubling the damage of everything you have. Solid. Alright, so bonus stars then, reroll and gold. Fine. Your support champs have focusing crystals. When you play a spell, grant me 1/1. While this is an epic, I don't necessarily know if it's going to have that big of an impact for you. I mean, normally for Jinx, you don't really care about your support champions. You're just playing Jinx and discarding them fairly often. But you are going for more of a spell focus, so this is really solid to have. Pow Pows get charging sigil, so they go up by 2 in damage, so now they're at 5. And then with your 6-star, they're doing 10 damage every Pow Pow. So that's going to be insane. And again, this is pushing you towards using your loose cannons payload. Your kind of Jinx-specific relic that discards your hand. It makes Pow Pows. So 10 damage for every single Pow Pow is insane. Damaging spells and skills you acquire have charging sigil rank 2. So they're going up 2 in damage, which really with that 6-star means they're going up by damage in 4. So very solid right there. So anything you're picking up is just going to be even stronger. And then you're getting just 200 extra starting gold in addition to the 100 gold right here. So you're getting a ton of power for your Jinx. Jinx is going to be even more ridiculous than she already is. But Jinx already is one of the most broken champions in the game, which is a little bit difficult. I would say Jinx has to be 1 tier below Ekko. They're from the same region, so distinction has to be made. Not to mention I'd prefer the 4-star Samira got to her. I would kind of think Jinx potentially should be down in the C tier, because while she is getting a crazy amount of power, she's already crazy powerful. So this will help you against like Lissandra, where they just have massive units, and so being able to take them out, even if they have I Am Inevitable, will be really good. Kind of feel like you don't really need all the extra power though. It's like if for the Acel Constellation, they're like, instead of doubling every unit stats, we're quadrupling it. It's like, okay, that's great, but it's kind of overkill. So Jinx does get a whole bunch of power, but she really doesn't need it very much. So I'm kind of thinking C tier. What are you all thinking? Pretty good, but doesn't need it much. Yeah. Alright, so some are feeling more like B tier. Could Shotgun Annie work in Lissandra? Maybe. B tier max, C tier is good. C on need, sure. But with how much power it gives B, that 10 damage is so insane, so B. Alright, so most people are saying B or C. I feel like for next champion, you should transcend Society Shackles, pick champions out of alphabetical order. Also B. I mean, I think I've kind of left alphabetical order behind a bit. I mean, she can be F because she doesn't need the cons. I feel like she's not... I mean, it is helpful, especially against the toughest challenges in the game, because Jinx can actually struggle into Lissandra. This pretty much means even Lissandra, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah, the main thing she needs against is the I am inevitable. Alright, I think we'll leave it in C, because I think that's a decent balance, considering how little she needs it, but how powerful it is. Because since Jinx is one of the most broken in the game, you could argue that she's even lower, just because of how much power she has. But I think we'll leave her in C for now. Alright, so let's keep moving on then. We'll just get the next in the order. So, Kai'Sa. Alright, so when you summon an ally, grant it Fury, it's a dragon. Fury is helpful, going to give you that slight bit of scaling if your units kill anyone. But also, this is just giving them all a keyword. Really good since you're a keyword stacking deck, making you have one closer to hitting your evolve. Not as crazy as many of the other 4 stars, but solid power. Void Touched, so Kai'Sa is the only one that gets a special 5-star. So you get +2 starting mana. So this is going like an improved version of the Void Touched here. So you're still just going to 4 starting mana, or the 3 starting mana, 4 with Starforged. Allies with 3 or more positive keywords have 2/2, so the same as here. But now, allies with a 6 or more positive keywords have 4/4. So if you can stack a whole bunch of keywords on one unit, they get even more stats. So that's pretty solid. Yeah, the +2 here, it's stacking with the Void Touched right here. So it's not like she's getting extra starting mana. It's just this is the second rank of Void Touched. So yeah, it's not stacking, it's additional. So Wield the Abyss, round start, create a second skin in hand. So this is your champion spell for Kai'Sa, where you target an enemy unit with this, you save all of those keywords to give them to all of your Kai'Sas, which is pretty solid. So you get this at round start. So every single round you can be saving your keywords for your Kai'Sa. But now also, when you target an ally with that spell, you then give that ally all of Kai'Sa's keywords for this round. So whatever keywords you have on Kai'Sa, they then also go onto that unit. So not only are you playing this to save keywords for Kai'Sa, you're also giving keywords to that unit as well. This will be very good, I think, because you can not only have some crazy keywords on your Kai'Sa, such as like double attack or things like that, but you can then give that to a unit for the round. This will often trigger your Void Touched to at least give them an extra 2/2, if not give them a 4/4. So it's essentially working like a combat trick. So this unit's getting buffed up. Also, the second skin, it has an upgrade to go to burst speed. And you can just do so many crazy things with this of, let's say you have a unit that has double attack, but it's not a very good unit. You can use this the first round to target them to give that double attack to your Kai'Sa. Then in the future, when you're using this on a different unit, you're now transferring that double attack kind of over to them as well. I think this will be very strong. I think it's going to play well with your Void Touched right here. Great benefit both to your Kai'Sa as well as your other units. I am very excited to play with this. I think it's going to work out great. For the bonus star powers, Nexus Health and Reroll, nice. Support champs have Hunter's Machete, so Scout. This can be really good because you can get a very cheap support champion, play them. They have the scout, which is great, but you can then save that scout and then start giving that to a different unit every single round. Really good. Belveth Elder has speed wraps. Solid upgrade, and again, is another keyword, so it's triggering or going towards your evolve, and also helping your keyword stacking. Followers you acquire in adventures have bright staff, so another keyword, some more stats, solid. And then second skin has hand sensor. So you're playing second skin every single round, and so every single round, you're buffing up the top ally in your deck by 1/1. I think all of these are very good. I think the Dragon's Rage is a little bit more mediocre as a 4-star, but I think with the other benefits, it's really solid. So I think for the Constellations, she's another one that I kind of want to think goes like up in the S tier, because not only is the Constellation good, Kai'Sa needs the help. She needs the help a lot. She's one of the worst champions in the game. She's definitely one of the lower ones out there, sadly. So she's getting some massive upgrades here, and she's going to be very solid, I think. Alright, so A or S tier. It transforms her a lot, but I don't think her powers are as good. Isn't she more A? Possibly. I think the last star power is going to have more of an impact than many people actually believe. And again, this is speculation on the side that for these constellations, haven't actually been able to test them out, and so there's going to be some that are probably more impactful than we might be thinking, and there's going to be others that we maybe think are more impactful that actually might be less impactful. So this is speculation, as we haven't been able to play with the full constellations yet. S with the constellation, being able to pick an allied unit and give them all keywords is crazy. Yes, and the thing is, you're not only giving them all the keywords, but because they're getting so much keywords, they're also getting all the stats as well, as far as your Void Touched rank 2. So you're now making just every round one unit absolutely insane. Hello, Hex Star Dragon. Deathless every round? Potentially, yeah. And you're scaling throughout the entire game because you're every round trying to get more keywords for your Kai'Sa, but then more keywords for every other unit that you play this on. I'm leaning towards S. I think it is actually pretty solid and going to help you out a lot. And then Kai'Sa needs the benefits a great amount, so it's elevating her a ton. So I think we'll put it in the S tier and leave her there for now. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. All right, let's go ahead and move on then. All right, Lillia. So for her constellation, Crush, allies have Overwhelm. This is fine. Overwhelm is always a good one to have, but most of the other champions that have this, so like Gwen and Viego, they need this way more. Like for them, Overwhelm was something you always took as a relic because it was that important. For Lillia, I don't really know of anyone that was recommending like, oh, you always have to go for Overwhelm. Wasn't really the case. Thank you for the follow, TNT Mint Crafter. Thank you. Mana Flow, gain extra mana gem. Solid. This will let you play your Lillia round 1. Dream Woven Spirits. Each round, the first time you play a unit, summon a ephemeral copy of it attacking. So you're triggering the summon effects twice for the first unit you play, so that's good. Also, you're summoning it attacking. A lot of fun things you can do with that, especially if you have like someone that has Rally Banner, so Last Breath Rally. You play them, ephemeral copy of them attacks, dies because it's ephemeral. You get a rally out of it. Also, you could do pretty much the same thing if someone has the quick strike blades. They have free attack and scout, or they don't actually need free attack. They just need scout. You play them, they start a free attack, give you a rally. Very good power. For bonus stars, Nexus health and gold. That's fine. Support champs have a Stalker's Blade. This one is insane because you can keep triggering this every time with your sleep mechanics. So you can just keep having them strike. Really good. Your Dreamlight Alina, getting double time watch, reducing my cost. Makes the card actually somewhat playable and is a very strong effect. Followers you acquire in adventures that cost 4 or more have Pickaxe. This one's okay. I don't think you're really trying to acquire that many higher cost followers anyways, but more power. And then last one, your Dream Laden Bow. So this is what you're making your champion spell. Well, not your champion spell, but the spell your champion is making when you play them or they strike. Sleep an ally. Stopwatch, this is going to burst speed, so you can be reactive with this. Very solid. Overall, all the upgrades you're getting are pretty incredible. The issue is Lillia is already so strong. So she's really, really strong. So she doesn't need the upgrades as much. And the upgrades that are there, while they're good, while they're making it her more interesting to play and definitely stronger, they're not insane, in my opinion. Like, they're all very good. I don't think they're as crazy as, like, Jinx, all your damage is doubled. You get 10 damage pow-pows. And everything you acquire in adventures has 2 extra damage, which is really going to be like 4 extra damage. So, while she has amazing upgrades, she's already so strong that, yeah, she's not needed as much. Some people saying D to F, some people saying C. The 6-star does make her a bit more aggressive. She's a Guardian Orb, Stalker Champ. We don't even need top up here. So this is one where I think we'll put her pretty low in the tier list. She's getting a good amount of power. I don't think she needs to go down the F tier. I have someone else that I'm probably going to end up putting there. Very good champion already. Very good powers from the Constellation. But some of the ones you don't really need, like the Crush. And then other ones, even though they are fantastic upgrades, they're not as impactful as far as making you stronger, because you're already so good. I might move her up to the C tier. Yeah, I think she's pretty close to just being tied with Jinx. I think Jinx might get a little bit more power from the Constellations, which is why she's a little bit higher. Might move her up there, but I think we'll put her in D for now. Might move her up to the C tier, to be honest. She is the only Ionic champ with Constellations, but we're not really taking that into account at the moment. Yeah, Morgana's probably going to go in the F tier. So the way we're ranking these is how impactful, how much does a Constellation improve the champion? So it's then a mix of how much the champion needs the Constellation, as well as how much power is in the Constellation. So some of the champions that are pretty weak already, they get a lot of help from the Constellation, which makes them higher. Whereas some of the champions that are already very strong, even if they have a solid Constellation, they're going to be ranked lower because it doesn't improve them as much. So that's why some of these very strong champions are a little bit lower. It's just because they don't need to get the bonuses as much. Does the order in tiers matter? No, not at the moment. We'll maybe move them around at the end. Yeah, I think we'll put her in D for now. There's a decent chance I get convinced to put her up in the C tier next to Jinx. But for right now, we'll put her down here. Alright, so let's carry on. So we did Lillia, Morgana. Alright. So for Morgana, up first, your spells cost 1 less. Very solid upgrade, really nice to have. You're constantly trying to play spells, so being able to get just 1 cost reduction on everything, really solid. And I do actually like this a little bit more than your sorcery, your refill your spell mana, because this also means you can run Archangel Staff still on Morgana and it's not a waste. So really solid upgrade. Mana flow, everyone has this, really helping you out. Share my torment. When you curse an enemy, grant allies 1 power. You're doing a lot of cursing, so you're going to be getting a lot of buffs from this. So it is good. I feel like it's definitely weaker than most of the other 6 stars. Because also this is grant allies, so this is just hitting your board. So think of someone like Viego. His is when you summon an encroaching mist, you're granting allies everywhere extra power. Whereas here it's just hitting your board when you curse an enemy. Now you can get a lot of curses off because you're targeting your units. You can potentially just get more out there. So it's definitely a nice bonus. Will help you get more power with your units, try to end games a little bit faster. So it's solid. Not that strong in comparison to many of the other 6 stars though, in my opinion. Does Morgana entering the battlefield give you extra 3? I think Morgana only curses twice, right? Or is it 3 times? Curse an enemy with shackles twice, so it's only, I guess, twice, and then it's targeting, so 3. Yeah, it would actually probably be 3. Yeah, +1 from the target. That would probably be the case, yes. As far as bonus stars, Nexus Health and Gold. Your support champions have Focusing Crystal. I think this will be a little bit more impactful than for Jinx, who also has this, because with Morgana, normally your games are going on a little bit longer, so you might have your actual unit support champion on the board getting more benefits from this. Star's Blessing, your Mahira gets double time watch, so its cost is going down. That's fine. You'll actually end up maybe playing this a little bit more. Spells you acquire in adventures have hand sensor, so grant the top ally in your deck 1/1. Yeah, that's fine. Startled Stomper gets bonded bucklers. This one kind of confuses me. It's a little bit like, why? Like, it has Overwhelm, and then, yeah, I think it has Faded from one of the powers it gets from your level ups. Still, though, it's not like you really need that. Like, I guess if you have some really big unit like your Morgana that has just a lot of stats on it, and you want to make sure she has Overwhelm, but generally the entire enemy board is immobile anyways. So it's, yeah, interesting. Also, if I understand it correctly, the power that places a curse in hand doesn't work since you don't curse an enemy. That would probably be the case, yes. Anyway, so Morgana is really the one that I feel like is going to go down here in the F tier. Morgana is already incredibly powerful, so she doesn't really need the help. And then the upgrades you're getting, while they are nice, and it's not like the Constellation is bad, it's not as impactful and doesn't improve your champion nearly as much as pretty much any other Constellation. So yeah, she feels like she's probably the worst out of the Constellations as far as improving the champion. So probably down in the F tier. And again, that's partially just due to the fact that she's already so strong and so good. Yeah, most people seeing D or F. Yes, the 4-star is definitely nice to have. And what I plan on doing with my Morgana, I think what I already actually did, is you get the 4-star and then probably don't bother. So I think for the 4-star tier list, I had Morgana relatively high. I don't remember exactly, but it was a decent 4-star you can pick it up right away. It's handy. So grabbing that 4-star and then just kind of not bothering would be my go-to. If your power, then would it still count as a curse to the enemy? I believe your power should count. So when you curse an enemy, grant allies -1. Yeah, since you're cursing your units with these here, this should count for your 6-star. So yeah, that should, every time you're targeting a unit, you're cursing them, you're buffing up your board by 1. Bought her to 4-star since I had the materials. She is the only Targon choice. She's probably the easiest Lissandra win after at Asol. Won't invest any more champion fragments for now. Yeah, that's the case. Like, if you get more champion fragments, you get like a bunch of them for her, and you can get some of the upgrades without using some of the other materials, then definitely go ahead and do that. But in general, pick up the 4-star. Don't really worry about the rest. All right, so let's go ahead and move on then. Neeko. All right, so up first, game starts, summon a Green Glade Lookout. So it's fine. It is a Yordle, so it's going to count for your subtype synergy. So it has that. It's another unit on your board. It can try to give you some cost reduction, so it kind of plays into your other cost reduction power, I guess. Honestly, seems like one of the worst 4-stars. Unless it has some secret synergy that I'm really not seeing. Like, yes, it has subtype synergy. And it's going to work with your 6-star. But not that big of a deal, really. Anyways. The 5-star, extra mana gem. The 6-star, when allies attack, deal 1 to all enemies and the enemy nexus. Increased by 1 for each attacking subtyped ally. So most of your units should have a subtype, because game start for each ally in your deck, if they have a subtype, granted impact. Otherwise, it becomes a shapeshifter. So at game start, all of your units are going to have a subtype, but any units you create might not. So if you have like attacking Sand Soldier or something like that, that's not going to have a subtype. So it's not necessarily guaranteed for every unit you have attacking, but pretty much every unit you have attacking, in most circumstances, you're dealing 1 to all enemies and the enemy nexus. So yeah, when you attack, you're dealing a good amount of damage. This seems interesting. I think it's definitely one that's going to crush early in like earlier adventures, and in monthlies, it's going to be great. I feel like against the harder content, the extra damage will matter less and less. So it's a bit of an interesting one. Yeah, I think it'll be okay, but I think it's going to have some issues scaling into more difficult challenges. Like, you bring this into Lissandra, I kind of feel like with the entire board having tough, and if they have like I Am Inevitable, they're just not going to care. But I think, yeah, this power will destroy monthlies in any early challenges. Bonus stars, reroll plus gold. Your support champions have Dragon's Tooth, so 1/1 and Fury, I'm a dragon. Again, a solid upgrade, giving your units, your support champions, another subtype. But I feel like in comparison to many of the other upgrades, like Double Attack, Scout, Stalker's Blade, Portal Pals, Iceborne Gauntlet, in comparison to many of the other upgrades support champions are getting, this feels underwhelming. Bonehide Tritail gets Skirmish and Saber. This is fine because it's your main overwhelm unit, so making sure this unit is challenging, so its extra damage is going to go through, and the rest of your units are able to attack without being blocked. That's solid, but again, when you compare this to like your ephemeral units for Gwen or Viego, them having Skirmish and Saber, that is much more impactful again. Bird, cat, dog, Elnuck, Fae, reptile, and spider followers you acquire in adventures have stud leather. It's fine. Again, I wish this was a little bit more broad of just subtyped followers you acquire in adventures have studded leather. Would be nice. Wallop has charging sigil rank 2, so 2 extra damage, so it can now work more as a removal spell and not just as CC. So overall, Neeko is one that I think they're already pretty decent, and then I think the upgrades you're getting are pretty bad, or not bad, but underwhelming in comparison to many of the other constellations. So I kind of feel more like potentially D tier. Like your 6-star should be fun to play with, but most of the things you're getting just seems way worse than like almost all the other constellations, which is a bit sad. Alright, so yeah, most people also agreeing with D tier or maybe C tier. Yeah, a little disappointing. I thought there'd be a lot better upgrades in there. That's definitely a bit sad. Alright, moving on then. So, Norra. So for Norra's constellations, you get Whoosh, Game Start Summon a Vestian Disciple. This one is actually pretty good synergies. I kind of don't really like this power personally, but I understand how it has so many synergies for your Norra. So it's a created card, so it's going to be triggering your star powers. It's a created card, so it's triggering your level up condition for your Norra. It is an elusive, and Nexus Strike, Recall Me, transform me into the Simon Wind. That is going to give you a spell that lets you summon this card again, so triggering your star powers again, triggering your level up condition again, and it has draw 1 on it, so draw is good on its own, but that can potentially give you some more portals. Also, since you can get Nexus Strike and then it gets summoned back to your hand, it can work as a way to make it so your board isn't too crowded without actually having to replace a unit. So it's pretty solid, even though I don't necessarily like the power myself. Mana Flow, get an extra mana gem. Your portals summon level 2 champions. So this will be very good and should scale with your level up condition. So at first your portals just summon like a 1, 2, or 3 cost follower. Well, that'll be a 1, 2, or 3 cost champion. Then we level up, it's 4, 5, or 6. So 4, 5, or 6 level 2 champion. This will give you a lot of very powerful effects. For the bonus stars, 200 gold. Your support champions have Portal Pals. So Epic Relic, when I'm summoned, create 2 random 2-cost units from your regions. Reduce its cost by my base cost. This will actually be decent for a couple different reasons. For one, they're created cards, or they're created units, so they're triggering your star powers, they're triggering your level up condition, and with your second star power, they're going to have a base cost of above 4. So if you ever play these, they are going to also give you portals. It's not bad. Your captain has Vampiric Scepter, so a little bit of sustain. Followers you acquire in adventures with 4 or more cost have Ancient Coin. This is pretty nice because you actually do want to get units that are a little bit more costly, because again, they trigger your second star power to plant more portals in your deck. So that's really good, but you're getting that cost reduction, so they're not too costly for you. And then your Cosmic Binding gets charged in Sigil rank 2, so it's just doing a little bit more damage. Overall, some pretty solid powers. That being said, I don't think Norra needs them as much, so I'd kind of lean towards B or C tier. Fuadi 13 and Itzo Okami, thank you for the follow. thank you for the support. She doesn't need them, but they're insanely good. Yeah. That's why I'm kind of conflicted. It's like, she doesn't really need the powers, so for me, she's like the bottom of my priority list, or down there as far as getting her upgraded. But a lot of them are very solid powers. Yeah, I think let's put it down there with Jinx. Yeah, and I think there's even an argument for dropping it lower. I would think C is fine. The upgrades are strong. She just doesn't need them. Yeah. Yeah, I think C is okay. And while she's very powerful, I actually think you could drop it even lower. Hello, Enzo. Oh yeah, we'll put her first C and keep moving on. Alright, so Samira. Alright, so we have Fast Deal, Round Start, Draw 1, and Give It Fleeting. When you discard a card, create a copy of it in your deck, and Fleeting gets discarded at the end of the round, so any of those that get discarded are still going to go in your deck. This is okay. Gives you more draw, which is nice. Make sure you have some discard synergy so that you're not actually losing the cards necessarily. Making sure you have cards to play so that you can try to get your star powers activated. It's good. I think I kind of would have preferred like Spellslinger, where all your spells cost one less, because then you could have played a lot of your cards for free. So it's not necessarily what I would have chosen myself, but I think it will be a solid upgrade for you. Mana Flow, get an extra mana gem, especially nice for Samira because you're trying to be very aggressive early. Beautiful and Brutal. When you gain the attack token, give allies 4 power this round. This is okay. I think it's a little bit of a worse version of another power we'll get into later. But you can give all your units 4 power, and then if you can trigger this with like a rally, scout attack, things like that, you have some ways to cheese this to get extra power for your units. Just giving you a little bit more of a boost to your attack. This will be very solid and definitely helping you out. Nothing insane, nothing crazy, but just a solid upgrade. Bonus stars, Nexus Health and Reroll, not bad. Your support champs have Lost Chapter. This is pretty good. Just when you play them, refill your mana. You have a lot of very cheap spells, so this will actually let you try to play more of those spells, try to get your level up and rallies going. So not bad. Stylish Shot has Charge and Sigil rank 2, so 2 extra damage. Spells with 4 or higher cost you acquire in adventures have Forbidden Idol, so Plunder I cost 3 less. I think this will actually be pretty massive, especially with some of the cards you can get, such as like rally cards. Like Lucian's Rally is a 4 cost spell. You could get that spell in the shop, and now with Plunder it's going to cost 1. So this can really help you try to trigger your other star power of getting some more rallies going, getting an attack token, buffing up your board. This will help you play a lot more spells, will be quite solid. Then we have Flare, has Ardent Sensor, to grant the top ally in your deck 3/3. You're able to generate flares with your Samira, so getting this going will actually be pretty solid and give you a little bit more of a reason to play this. Overall, Samira has pretty good powers. I think the 6-star is a little bit underwhelming compared to some of the other ones, but it's still good. Samira is already pretty solid though. I feel like Samira would be a little bit more potentially B tier. I think she needs the help a bit more than many of the other champions here, while she is still good, most of these other champions I'd say are better, like Jinx, Norra, Samira, or not Samira, Lillia and Morgana. She's strong already, but she's not as strong as many of these, and she has been nerfed quite a bit over the last couple months. C tier still doesn't help her enough. These don't fix her Lissandra issues. Alright, I'll be convinced to drop her down to the C tier. I don't think she should be below C tier. I think these upgrades are pretty good, and I think she needs the help more than many of these other ones. Yeah, I think she's definitely not as strong as some of these other champions, but her powers also aren't insane. Okay, so I think C is a decent compromise. Yeah, I think that'll be a decent spot for her. Let's move on then. Alright, Vayne. So for Vayne, allies with equipment or attachments have 2/2. Same thing as Aatrox. Pretty solid and nice to have, especially since you are a very unit-focused deck. You need your units to be big and powerful, so making them a little bit stronger is nice. Game start, get a mana gem. Everyone has this. It is a little bit better for Vayne than some of the others because this lets you play your Vayne round 1, which is a really big deal. So while this is the same that everyone has, a little bit stronger for Vayne than many of the others. Purge with silver. When an ally attacks, give it 4 power this round. This is kind of the better version of the Samira power, because this is when your ally is attacking, give it 4 power, so pretty much the same thing as Samira, but you can trigger this many times because you can still do what Samira does with getting extra attack tokens, but you can consistently trigger this with your Scout because you get Scout from your first 2 star powers. Your Golden Spatula, granted random keyword. When an ally is equipped, give it Scout this round. So there, your 2nd star power actually is what gives it to you. So you can get 8 power easily from this. You can often actually get 12 power and attack 3 times in a round. And then you can still try to cheese this with extra rallies and things. So this is helping you out a ton. As far as some bonus star powers, reroll in gold, solid. Support champs have Stud, Leather Phage, or Titan's Axe Phage based on their cost. This is fine. That's really all I can say about it. Fish Fight, a Summoning Beacon, also fine. Gives you another unit to try to equip, so it's okay. Honestly, I normally don't use a Fish Fight that often. Follows you acquiring Adventures of Speed Wraps. Again, fine. The big thing though, Tumble has Tear of the Goddess, so 2 cost reduction. This is absolutely massive for you because Tumble, this is giving you a free attack, also is letting you do an equipment. Doing an equipment or a free attack with Scout essentially counts as a rally, so that is incredibly powerful, letting you play your Tumble way earlier. Very good. And it brings back a broken combo you used to be able to do with Vayne when she first came out, is Vayne with Lost Chapter. So you can play Vayne round 1 because of your 5th star power, the extra starting mana. You can then play her, she can refill your spell mana with Lost Chapter, and so you can Tumble round 1. This is incredibly strong, very, very good. When paired with your Purge with Silver, I think it is also excellent. Some of the other powers are a little bit mediocre in here, but the extra stats, very good. Mana flow, very strong. Purge with Silver, fantastic. And then the Tear of the Goddess on Tumble is great. Most of the others you don't really care about that much, but half of these upgrades are all incredible for your Vayne. So I wouldn't I wouldn't say S tier. I would probably put her closer in A. While you get a lot of good upgrades, about half the upgrades you don't really care about. I think it's helping you out a lot, but some of these other champions are both weaker and are getting more benefit from them. I would say A to B tier is more of a happy place for Vayne. Wow, Vayne is pretty conflicted. Some people really want to say S tier. I guess a lot of people thought Vayne, they consider her worse. Yeah, I would say it's above Gwen. If you want, we can try to... For A tier at least, it'll be organized like that. I think the combo of speed wrap, stacking forward attack, reducing tumble for the 3 attacks turn, boosting up the equipment with other unit 2/2, turns Vayne to a really solid attack deck. Also, Vayne was really weak so far, so it was S, maybe A. Yeah, I think she's definitely way better than she used to be. These upgrades are helping her out a ton. I just don't think she's quite up to the same level of improvement as Ashe and Kai'Sa. I think she's very good, greatly improved, but I just don't think she's up to this level up here, personally. Like, you will be able to end most matches in the very first round. Anything you're doing other than like the toughest possible challenges, you will be able to OTK. So that will be solid. Just still don't think she's as improved as Ashe and Kai'Sa. Because also I think Vayne is currently a lot better than both Ashe and Kai'Sa. So yeah, I think top of A tier is where we'll put her for now. Alright, so let's keep going then. Vex. A lot of people already know where this is going to go. So when an enemy dies outside of combat, deal 4 damage to the enemy. So essentially if you kill it with a spell or a skill, or anytime they're not attacking or blocking, is outside of combat. So just anytime you kill an enemy unit outside of that, you're dealing 4 damage to the Nexus. Very solid. Mana flow, same thing as always, just really good. When an enemy dies outside of combat, so the same modifier here, grant other enemies gloom. This will be very good because you're already trying to do this. If you have Vex on the board and leveled, she doubles your gloom output, so essentially you're going to be able to gloom all enemies by 2. So you're hitting the entire enemy damage or enemy board with this gloom. Since this can kill enemy units, one thing that should be able to happen is this kills a unit and then the effect goes off and kills another unit, which then triggers it to go off again. So essentially it can cascade, kind of like Pike. Now it's obviously not going to be as strong as Pike because it's not going to hit as hard, but it is something that should be able to happen, which should be pretty fun. Also, one great thing about this is you really lacked gloom generation, especially for the entire enemy board. So being able to do this, hit the entire enemy board with gloom, not only going to level up your Vex very quickly, but then it's going to make sure your 3rd star power actually does something. Round start boost all enemies, so it can increase those gloom stacks. If you don't have them gloomed up though, this does nothing, which is an issue you could sometimes run in with Vex of your 3rd star power not actually helping you as much as you would like. So all of these are very good, but we're kind of just not getting we're just getting started. 10 Nexus health and 4 regen, very solid, giving you a good amount of survivability. Your support champions have utmost despair, play grant enemies gloom. So when you just drop a support champion, you're glooming the entire enemy board. Really good. Pie Toss has Charge and Sigil rank 1 and Perilous Pastry. This is the one that's generated from the Pie Toss. Gets Charge and Sigil rank 3. So 4 extra damage right here on this one. This will help you out a lot, doing more damage, which then is converted into more gloom. And then if you kill units with it, you can trigger your 4th and 6th star powers. Very solid. Damaging spells you acquire in adventures have Charge and Sigil rank 3. So 4 extra damage on whatever spells you pick up during your adventure. Very helpful, especially since that's going to benefit your second star power a ton, and then also letting you get more kills, triggering your fourth and sixth star powers. So pretty crazy strong. Family Reunion has home turf. Epic items, you just get this at the start of the game. Again, pretty good. Vex is one of the worst champions in the game, sadly, without the constellations. With the constellation, though, everything you get is absolutely insane. Vex is definitely up in the S tier, like the most improved by constellations, I think, by far. Yeah, Vex is very, very good. Yeah, home turf also has draw on it. Yeah. So this is helping you out. There's so much in your constellation that you want to get. With some of the other champions, there's things you kind of want to pick and choose. With Vex, though, pretty much everything in there is fantastic. You want to really get everything in the constellation. It improves you, or should improve you, so much. Yeah, definitely up in that S tier. All right, let's keep moving on then. All right, Viego. Viego is, well, I was gonna say a little bit harder to judge since we've only really seen him with the constellations, but we have a probably pretty good understanding of how strong he is with just his 3-star. But 4-star, Crush, allies have Overwhelm. Very solid. This definitely helps you out a ton. Playing with just these two, it's pretty painful not having the Overwhelm. So if you don't have the 4-star, you have to pretty much do what you did with Gwen of always having Overwhelm on a relic. So this is really just freeing up a relic spot for you. Mana flow, solid, get an extra mana gem. All will serve. This one is pretty insane. When you summon an Encroaching Mist, which you're already trying to do, and that's what you're doing from your 3rd star power, grant allies everywhere 1 extra power. So this is not only giving you really good scaling, but this is also playing in very well with your 2nd star power. When ally with 4 or more power dies, reduce the cost of all 4 or higher power allies in hand by 1. Since you're very quickly going to make it so all of your units everywhere are above this threshold, essentially whenever you have a unit die, you're reducing down all of your units in hand by 1. And you have a bunch of ephemerals that you're summoning every round, and so they're constantly reducing down the cost of all of your other units as well as scaling them up. And yeah, when you kind of consider this with Morganas, with Morgana you are able to trigger curses more often. In most cases, you should be able to trigger curses more often than summon Encroaching Mists, but this is just hitting all of your units everywhere, which is really, really good. And then the synergies it has with your other powers, very strong. As far as the bonus stars, 8 regen, that's a lot of health recovery. Support champs have Studded Leather, Phage, or Titan's Axe. Again, a pretty generic one. However, they will be able to get extra stats, which means they trigger your other star powers faster. Shape of Fear has Stopwatch, so burst speed, really good. This means you can actually use this to respond to an enemy like attacking you. You can just burst speed, kill a unit, summon 2 Encroaching Mists, because 1 from this and then 1 from your star powers, to be able to block. Pretty solid. Shadow Isles followers you acquire in adventures have Pickaxe, so 2 extra power. Again, that power on its own is good, but it can help then trigger your other powers, your 2nd star power, of giving that cost reduction. Solid. And then Encroaching Mist has Skirmishing Saber, so making all of your ephemerals, and you're summoning a bunch of these, have Skirmishing Sabers so that they can challenge enemy units. Very, very good. Overall, you get a lot of very strong upgrades from all of these. That being said, I think with your just 3 star powers, you are getting some very strong effects. So I would kind of think a little bit more in the B tier, just because Viego already would be really good just with his 3 star. And while you get so many good benefits, he's already pretty strong. Hey, Jubilant. The thing I hate about Viego is seeing the miss getting cut because the board is full. Yeah, board management is a big part of Viego. Did Riot actually say something about the Viego bugs for Medallion Obsession? Just doesn't work. Not that I know of, but I've been so busy making content, I haven't really been paying attention to like Twitter and Reddit, which is normally how they communicate. So I haven't been as in the loop. C, because of how strong he already is. I hope you have fun with Neeko's 6-star. It looks like the best part of her kit, so getting that early would be pretty solid. Yeah, so I'm thinking around B tier, not seeing too much to convince me otherwise. I get saying put him in C tier because of how strong he already is. However, I don't think without these he's necessarily stronger than like Jinx or like Morgana. And I think these upgrades all are very impactful and help you out enough to move him up to the B tier. Because yeah, the powers he's getting are pretty insane. But yes, he is very strong even before the powers. But I think B is a pretty good spot for him. Alright, so let's carry on then. Can't say much on Viego since I have no reference for him without Constellations. I've actually tried to design... I used to design decks and powers for champions I wanted added into the game. I did a whole like theory crafting where I would select a champion not in the game, try to make them a starting deck, try to make them powers. I made several of those videos, but no one ever watched them, and so I didn't keep doing it. But I have done that in the past. Let's see. So we did Viego. We've already done Aatrox, Ashe, Darius. There we go. Yeah. Alright, so for Darius, your 4-star round start to stun the strongest enemy. Solid defensive power. That's good. Also for Darius, you normally don't want to block because you need to keep your units alive. So this helping you not having to block as much. Pretty solid, pretty good. Mana flow, get an extra mana gem. Solid, and especially for the next one, when... Jubilant Liar, thank you for the sub. Appreciate the support. The Hand of Noxus, when allies attack, summon a random Noxian ally with cost equal to your mana gems. So the more mana you have, the stronger unit you get. Also, this is when allies attack. So every single time you attack, you have rallies built into your kit. So the more rallies you do, the more times you attack, the more often you're going to be triggering this, which is very solid. Also, you have rally from your 2nd-star power. This is each round the first time you attack with 15 total power. This, hopefully, haven't been able to test it yet because obviously I don't have this power, but hopefully this will calculate after your Hand of Noxus goes off. So you're attacking, you're getting an extra unit that should contribute to your 15 total power to give you that rally. So potentially you're going to attack, rally, especially because of this modifier, and then be able to attack again, summoning another unit. So this is going to be, I think, incredibly strong, especially because you can modify this with like your mana flow, giving you extra mana, potentially going for Starforged Gauntlet, so you start at 4 mana, so your first attack you're summoning a 4 cost, and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. I like how this scales throughout the course of the game, so the longer the game goes on, the more powerful units you get. I think this is one of the best powers, both as far as like design, with how fun it is, with how it scales with you as far as the game goes on, how well it's helping your overall kit. I think this is fantastic. Anyways, bonus stars, Nexus health and rerolls. This is actually really solid. Nexus health means you don't have to block as much. Extra rerolls are very good for Darius. You really want to get the right powers and champions. Support champs have Pickaxe, Colossal Hammer, or Titan's Axe. Little thing different here than most others. This says Colossal Hammer, not Phage. Most of the other ones say Phage. So the fact that they actually put Colossal Hammer here, that is good. And the fact this is a pickaxe and not a studded leather. So they're going for the more aggressive items. So that's good. The fact that they're getting more power means they're more likely to trigger your second star power, meaning they're more likely to give you that extra rally. Death's Hand has Charged and Sigil rank 2, so 2 extra damage. This is good in the sense that that extra damage hits both the damage to the enemy and the damage to the enemy nexus. So it doesn't have that much synergy with your overall deck, but can help you, maybe help you level up your Darius to get the enemy nexus a little bit lower. But pretty good. Yeah, also for his first couple powers, they changed this to a play effect. So summon effects such as like Hand of Noxus, this isn't going to be taking the power. So you still want to be playing a unit every round. But this is good because otherwise things like your saplings that you would summon accidentally would like essentially take your power from you, which could really be a pain. Noxian followers you acquire in adventures have Pickaxe. So again, more power, being more aggressive, more likely to trigger your second star power, which is big. Legion Grenadier has Ancient Coin, so it goes down to a 1 cost. Pretty solid. Not that big of a deal, but like helping you out, getting more units on the board. So overall, I think the amount of power Darius is getting is quite a lot. I think he is on the weaker side as far as champions. He can stomp a lot of enemies, but he's very much like he either wins or he loses. Like, you win immediately and you stomp out, you make them feel amazing, or you lose miserably. There's not that much of an in-between for Darius. So for me, I think he should go up in like the A tier. I feel like some of you are trolling by saying C or D tier. You've got to be trolling. I think this is both very powerful, very well designed, and also really improving your champion immensely. Yeah, as long as the power for your second star power is calculated after you summon your unit, then definitely. If it's not, then he does lose a good amount of power. I'm wondering if his 6-star summon is attacking. Oh, it should be. I guess it just says when allies attack, summon a random Noxian ally with cost equal to your mana gems. That is true. Whenever I see this, I see them attacking alongside your units. If that's not the case, and this is just a unit on your board, then it's definitely going to lose both a lot of its flavor and a lot of its power. I think that does make it much less interesting if it's just summoning. I mean, yeah, like, it should say attacking. It should say summon a random Noxian ally with equal toss to mana gems, like attacking. But sometimes Riot is a little inconsistent. I feel like this summon on attack would help Darius, especially against Lissandra, play 3 cards power. Yeah. It's one that we definitely need to test. I'm gonna leave Darius in the A tier for now. We'll need to play with it and see how exactly it works, because there's some inconsistencies. For one, we don't know if that unit is actually attacking. I really, really hope it is. It doesn't say that explicitly in the card text, and it should. Sometimes Riot is a little inconsistent with their wording. I'm hoping that's the case here. Also, does it calculate with your second star power? If it does, then that's also incredible. If it does not, then yes, it is weaker. I'm going to put him in A tier. Partially, that's my bias because I really, really like Darius, and I think these star powers and constellations have the potential to be really good. But yeah, there definitely could be some issues where it just summons a unit that's not attacking, which then doesn't contribute to your second star power and doesn't like guarantee your rally almost. Is a little rough. Makes you want to test lab so you can set up specific test statuses. Yes, that'd make it very helpful. Because yeah, I wish I could test this stuff out to make sure to give you guys the most accurate information. It's still good regardless. I just really hope it's attacking. And if it's not attacking, I hope Riot changes it to be attacking. If it helps your second star, it's A tier, if not B tier. Yes, Vayne is good at 4 stars. You generally want to get the extra mana in the tumble, though, if you can. Anyways, let's move on. I'm kind of sad now about Darius, because whenever I read this, I just like immediately was like, oh, it's going to be attacking. But it's like, that might not actually be the case. All right, Ekko. All right, so round start, refill your spell mana. Very solid. You have a lot of spells to play. Negatively, thank you for the resubscribe for the 3 months. I appreciate the support. And thank you, Lightning, for the follow. So sorcery, really helping you out. You have a lot of spells. Making sure you have this going every single round is very helpful and beneficial. Mana flow, get an extra mana gem. Also really good. Future firepower. When you see a unit in a predict, double its stats. This is pretty good because you can see a unit multiple times in a predict, so they can just keep getting bigger and bigger. So potentially you'll just drop a unit that's absolutely massive. So yeah, that's giving you pretty insane amount of scaling. The one issue is you might see a unit in a predict and then intentionally not grab them because you want to keep doubling them, and then might maybe never see them again and don't draw them. Excuse me. But yeah, this is very solid. And also when you see it predict, you're also granting them already extra stats and a keyword. I do not know if it triggers before or after the 3-star. Yeah, not sure. I would think this triggers first, but again, I have not tested it. I do not know what the order is. Bonus star powers, 2 extra rerolls, very handy, especially for Ekko. You want to make sure you get the right powers. Your support champs have Guardian Orb. When I'm summoned, grant epic items to 3 random cards in your deck. So on the one hand, you normally like to have multiple Guardian Orbs going, and not just like one on a unit. But this is hitting your deck with random epic items, and so while you're fishing through your predict, you can now also see like, oh, there's a fun epic item that normally isn't there. So it's giving you that extra amount of randomness, which should be pretty good. Time Winder, this is getting Charging Sigil. This is another one of those spells that has multiple parts of damage, and both of those are getting increased by this. Also, you have Charging Sigil rank 2 from your level ups. So this is actually going to like +4, so each one of these deals 5 damage. Pretty solid. Spells you acquire in adventures have the hand sensor, so granting the top alien deck 1/1, giving you even more scaling on top of the crazy amount of stats you're getting from your other powers. Iterative improvement gets Oracle's Lens, so you're getting another predict. Again, really good for triggering all your different predict powers, as well as leveling up your Ekko. So overall, I think you get some really good upgrades, and I think Ekko was always a little bit more middle of the pack, or sometimes closer to the bottom. I would say he's probably up in the A. I feel like he'd be a little bit more in the A to B category. Yeah, I don't think he's S tier, personally. I would say A to B range would be my opinion of him. I think I missed... let's see. A seems fine. A works. I'm biased towards Ekko. Yeah, a lot of people are biased towards Ekko. I think the scaling is just going to obliterate things. Yeah. That will probably be pretty strong. A to B for me, I personally liked Ekko before. So makes it does a lot better. He'd not struggled that much before, and that's kind of the thing. Ekko does not need the same level of improvement as definitely Kai'Sa or Vex, or even Ashe. I kind of feel like Ashe was worse than Ekko. So even though with Ekko you're getting these crazy big units with the doubling going multiple times, I still think the improvement you're getting for these S tier champions is greater than the improvement you're getting with Ekko, which is why I'm not putting him in the S tier. Because yes, I think the power he's getting is going to be very strong and crazy, but it's still not as much of an improvement as these other champions. Yes, the chat is a echo chamber. Thank you for all the content. I was on holiday 1 week. You have like 30 videos from you. Yeah, it's been a lot. When are you gonna make a tier list for the most powerful constellations, not the improvement constellations give to those champs? I don't know if I really will. More focusing on how they're improving the people, but we'll keep moving on, keep looking at the different champions. All right, so we did Ekko, Lux Illuminated. So for this constellation, allies have Crush. Very helpful to have. This was something you really needed. Similar to Gwen as well as Viego, you pretty much always had to run something to give you Overwhelm. Pretty much the best case scenario. So this is really just freeing up one of your relic slots. Very helpful. Mana flow, really solid, especially with your game plan of trying to be as aggressive early as possible. So 1 extra mana. This is another one of those cases that it's helping you a little bit more than many others. Lady of Light, each round the first time you attack, refill 1 mana for each attacking ally and draw a spell. This is really good, especially since I think Crown Guard Inheritance, Level Up Rally, is one of your best relics. So normally you can attack, rally, and then refill or fill out your board even more, and then attack again. So this giving you more of a mana refill is great. Drawing a spell is a great way to trigger your targeting effect from your star powers. So I think this is very strong. Bonus stars, 200 gold. All right, your support champs have Dreams of Yordle, so Spirit and Impact, meaning they'll be able to take full effect of your boost, which is really good. Also can contribute towards your level up. Prismatic Barrier has Mana Potion, also massive, because the the Prismatic Barrier, you're making this every single round, and so making the spell that you're making every round go down by 1 is pretty big. Lets you play this more often. So again, lets you trigger your 3rd star power, giving that Spirit and Impact. So that's really good. follows you required adventures with a base cost of 2 or less. So again, incentivizing that early aggressive playstyle. Have Bright Staff, so more stats. Smoldering Smirk has Stopwatch. Pretty insane because this is a slow speed spell that's going up to a burst speed. So you can at burst target both of your units, which triggers your 3rd star power. You then boost both of those units, and then they both hit an enemy, normally just killing them. So pretty much everything you have is either good or great. These are some crazy good powers. Now, on the one hand, though, Lux was already incredible. So it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, Lux, she was already so good, but also the powers you're getting are so good. I kind of want to put her in the B tier, but I feel like we might have to put her lower just because of how strong she already was. Yeah, I feel like we probably need to put her in the C tier. Yeah, I think she is already a fantastic, amazing champion. And you are getting a whole bunch of power from your constellations. Yeah, I think we'll probably just need to put in the C tier. Just that mix of already very powerful, and even though you're getting all this good stuff, it's really not as needed. Yeah, I think we'll put her in here, the C tier. Alright, let's keep moving on. Alright, so we got Lux Illuminated. Oh, right. Misfortune. Right, I've been forgetting about her, to be honest. So, up first, when you summon a 1-cost ally, grant it 2/2. Very solid, especially because you summon a 1-cost ally every single round. So that is always going to be better, but then you're already trying to get more 1-cost allies. Mana Flow, game start, get a mana gem. Especially good for Misfortune, because this lets you play her round 1, similar to Vayne. So, same power pretty much everyone has, but a little bit better for you. This 6-star, though, is crazy. So, while in combat, your spells and skills deal 4 extra damage. Misfortune, when she attacks, she has a skill that normally does 1 damage. Now it's going to deal 5. When you're attacking, you normally have some of your other units that are already doing skills as well that do 1 damage. So increasing that up to 5 is going to be insane. And then you also have other spells you can trigger while you're attacking to increase their effects as well. This is going to give you so much damage, it's insane. Momentum Charger, thank you for the follow. Bonus stars, reroll in gold. Your support champs have Hunter's Machete, so Scout. Really good, because this is essentially giving you an extra attack to trigger your 6-star power again. Make It Rain has Charging Sigil rank 2, so this goes up to 3 damage, but then you can attack, and if you trigger this while attacking, this is then increasing it by an additional 4. Crazy amounts of damage. Followers you acquire in adventures that cost 2 or less have Studded Leather. You're trying to get 1-cost followers for your Yips Genius, so this is further buffing them up. Powder Monkey has Skirmishing Saber. Same thing we've seen on everyone else with ephemeral units, but it's like the best thing for ephemerals, so really, really good. Really strong powers here, and Misfortune was definitely one of the weaker champions in the game, so she's another one that is dramatically improved from the constellations. So she's another one to go up there in the S tier. Also, we're not considering it here because I'd kind of somewhat ruin the point of the tier list, but the Misfortune Epic Relic is also insane. We're not considering that in our ranking, but that is going to also be ridiculous. And same with the Lux Relic. The new one is also going to be very good for Lux. But yeah, this is going to be so good. It never specified your combat, so maybe the spell damage applies while defending. I think it said, I guess it just says in combat. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily say while attacking, it says while in combat. So this could help you out as well. Sick from work so I can enjoy spicy stream. Happy to have you here. Yeah, I think S tier, I don't think there's really any other place to put her. She's incredibly improved. Yeah, she needs to go up there. Alright, let's carry on then. Alright, we just have a few left. Taliyah. Alright, so Constellations. Each round, the first time you play a landmark, refill mana equal to its cost. This is going to be fantastic. You're essentially getting the old Lux star power, except for landmarks instead of spells. This will be really good. It makes your landmark not a completely low tempo play. You're playing it, but then you get your mana back, so you can then play it again. So you're not like sacrificing your turn of like, I'd like to play a unit, but I also need to start getting this counting down. You don't necessarily have to choose. Now you're going to try to strategize and play a landmark every round because you're essentially playing it for free. Very, very good. This is a awesome power. I can't wait to get it. Then we have get an extra mana gem. It's the same thing everyone has. I find that Taliyah with extra mana feels like especially good. Like she's one of the ones that with the Starforged gauntlets, you really enjoy it more than most other champions. It just feels extra strong to be able to get a lot of your landmarks counting down in the very first round. It gives you a huge power spike then a round or two later. But yeah, same power everyone gets. Throw another rock. When an ally attacks, it plays Threaded Volley. This is an elemental skill, so we're not going to consider it for the tier list, but this is going to be insane with the Volibear Epic Relic that increases the damage of your elemental skills. That's going to be such a good combination. Really want to play it. Anyways, deal 2 to Taliyah's blocker. What's the whatever the unit has, their blocker. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. So this is just whenever your allies attack, they're all going to play this Threaded Volley, and then your spells and skills deal 1 extra damage for each allied landmark. Now, I think when I read this, that this is going to be each landmark you currently have on your board, not each landmark you have played. If it's each landmark you just have played the entire game, then this is insane. Without it, it's still fine. But this right here, it's weakening up the enemy. If you don't have a blocker, you're dealing damage straight to the nexus. Since all of your units have overwhelm from your 3rd star power, you're going to deal damage to reduce down their health, which means your attack is going to hit harder and potentially do more damage to the nexus. And then you have a way to try to increase this damage right here with having more landmarks, so you're still going to benefit from having your landmarks on the board. It's not just like a dead slot. It's still giving you a benefit. I think this is a fun, unique, interesting 6-star. Do we know what allied mean? It's normally just your landmarks on the board. Alright, going over to the bonus stars, Nexus Health and Reroll. Support champs have Studded Leather, Phage, or Titan's Axe. It's fine. Nothing crazy. Grumpy Rock Bear has Phage, so a little bit more stats. Again, solid, not crazy. Landmarks you acquire in adventures have Mana Potion, so just reduce cost by 1 for every landmark you pick up. That's pretty good. And then Shaped Stone has Elixir of Sorcery, so copy me on the same targets. This is going to make it a insanely strong combat trick. Very, very good. Some of the things here are just fine, though. Nothing too insane. The Mana Potion, though, and Shape Stone is very good. Overall, I think Taliyah has some very fun powers. I don't think they are quite as impactful as some of the others. So I think Taliyah would probably be more in the A tier category. Can you unlock the 6-star ahead of the 4th one? For Taliyah, no. Your 4th star power is immediate. You have to get that. If you see right here, your 3-star immediately into your 4th star. So you can go up and get Mana Flow, or you can go down and get your 6-star, but you have to get the 4-star. If Taliyah is A, then Gwen should be lower. Yeah, probably. I think Gwen being in B is fine. I think, yeah, Taliyah in A is good. Gwen is already so strong that I think being in B is pretty good. Alright, I think that's solid. Yeah, Taliyah, solid upgrades, not quite as impactful as some of the other champions, though. Also, I think Taliyah was already better than most of these as it, like, already, even without the constellations. So, not as much of an improvement. Anyways, let's go ahead. Only 2 champions left. And they're both all the way here at the bottom. Volibear. So Volibear is one where I actually have pretty much the entire thing done. But let's see. In my sight, round start, grant the weakest enemy vulnerable. So this is supposed to be able to help you get more kills because you can then grab the weakest enemy with any of your units, kill them. Not really that big of a deal though. To be honest, I've played Volibear a couple games and normally I don't even notice this. So it's hasn't really been helping you or helping me that much. I get why they do it in theory, but it's really not actually as helpful as you would think. Anyways, Mana Flow, very nice. Doom of All, when you summon a Titanic ally, grant it 2/2 for each stack of Sigil of the Storm. So this is another way to boost up your Titanic units, making them even stronger. This, I think, is fine. It's going to be very consistent, just making pretty much all your Titanic units even better because you're almost always playing them with sigils. It is just a stat increase and a stat increase on your already big units. So I feel like outside of the Lissandra adventure, this is never really going to matter because it's like big unit is slightly bigger. So it's helpful, but not that big of a deal. Not nearly as impactful as I think many other 6-stars are. I think it's one of the least impactful 6-stars. And I think this is one of the least impactful 4-stars, which is rough. Bonus stars, 10 health and 4 regen. Really nice to have. Support champs have Titan's Axe, Phage, or Studded Leather based on their cost. I don't know if this is intentional or not, actually. That they have this reversed. Does this mean lower level ones get the bigger bonuses? No, it doesn't. Because I went and did a game where I got Galio and he had Titan's Axe on him twice. So yeah, they worded it backwards. I don't know why. But it's still your bigger units get the Titan's Axe. So, not sure why they did it like this, but this is better than many other champions because this is letting you try to hit Titanic with your support champion so they can start counting for those sigils. Valhyr's Prophet gets Shadow's Totem. this is solid because when this is summoned, it makes a Sigil of the Storm. So you're then essentially summoning 2 of them. Then you have 2 units that can count for Disciple of Shadows potentially, or another unit for you to try to kill an enemy unit. All around pretty solid. Follows your Inquire in adventures that cost 6 or more, have Hardy Rations. This is actually slightly a lie. You get regen, but you also get tough. So this is better than it looks here. Having tough and regen on all of your 6 or higher cost units makes them pretty hard to kill. So that is a lot better than you see just here. But yeah, this is why you kind of have to take everything with a little bit of grain of salt with the Riot text, because it does sometimes lie. Because yeah, it doesn't say anything here, but you do actually get tough. Anyways, Tribeless also has Hardy Rations. Okay. I mean, I wish they just reduced this to 5 cost, so he would be counted with that. But him having tough, yeah, that's fine. Normally this is a card you cut anyways, to be honest, so that's not really the best. Overall, with Volibear, you have some solid upgrades, but you have a lot of other ones that are just not that impactful. I think your 4 and 6 star are some of the least impactful in the game. And then some of your other ones are helpful, but yeah, it's a bit disappointing, to be honest. That being said, Volibear was already pretty solid. He wasn't as crazy as like Morgana or anything, but he was pretty good. I think he probably needs to go down in like the D tier, because already a strong champion and then one of the weakest constellations. Leveled Volley gives overwhelm to your board. Yeah. So Strength of Stone is good on Volley now. I mean, it'd be interesting. D or F tier, unfortunately, just a waste of resources when Ashe is so good. Yeah, for Volibear, pretty much just get the upgrades if you have a bunch of extra Volibear fragments. So if you have those, like for me, I got a ton of Volibear fragments from all of my different vaults and stuff, and I got literally nothing for Taliyah. A little salty. But if you have a bunch of fragments, then you can upgrade him. It makes him feel definitely a little bit better, but most of it is not that helpful. Again, though, you already are a very strong champion, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, Volibear is still fun to play. Constellation makes him slightly more enjoyable, but he was still already really good. Volley power is just not good in my opinion. It's a win more situation. His weaknesses aren't really addressed, and what he already does good enough. And what he does, he's already good enough in 90% of the time. Yeah, they like, oh, you have big units, let's make your big units slightly bigger. It's like, okay, that's solid, I guess. And then also, you didn't normally have to struggle with your big units dying. That wasn't that big of an issue, so making them even harder to kill with regen and tough, it's like, thanks. Normally this wasn't really an issue. So yeah, I agree. Most of his weaknesses weren't really addressed. Yeah. But he is still a very fun and strong champion, so it's not like it's that big of a deal that his Constellation isn't as impactful. Alright, so let's move on to the last one then. Yuumi. So for the Constellation, when you target an ally, give it barrier this round. Your attach effects, your attach units, they trigger this as well. And you're already a target focused deck, so you're going to be able to do this a lot. Mana Float, get an extra mana gem. Again, similar to some of the other champions, this is a little bit better for you because this means you can play your Yuumi round 1 without having to go for Disciple of Shadows. Solid. Power of Friendship. Round start, grow all allies to the strongest ally stats this round. This is really good. You normally have one of your units that is just a lot stronger than all of your other ones. So growing all of your units to that one stats is very, very strong. This is gonna help you scale up your deck or your board incredibly quickly, and Norra is going to be an early game monster more than she already is. So this will be very interesting. Moving on, Nexus Health and Gold. Your support champs have bonded bucklers. This one is okay. So give my support ally 1/1 and my keywords this round. So you can often have some units that have some pretty good keywords, such as like elusive. So being able to move that over is decent. That being said, though, this isn't that big of a deal. It's definitely not as impactful as many of the other support champion effects, but it's still okay. Tiny Shield, Tiny Spear, and Gem. So these are all spells you can generate from your starting deck. They all have Hextech Fabricator on them, so just making them all a little bit better. Followers you acquire in Adventure have War Mog's Armor, so regen. This is not too bad. Regen is pretty good, especially for Yuumi, so whatever unit you're attaching to, having that regen is helpful. And you are going to have some bigger units now because of your powers, so again, trying to make sure you have units on your board that are surviving, because this is often an issue Yuumi would have, is you'd have like a couple big units, and then most of your other units would just be dying and you couldn't protect them. This paired with your barrier, your failings you can do, will actually be pretty good. 1-cost Poros have an additional item. So this is just all 1-cost Poros, but you also summon 2 random 1-cost Poros. So them getting both an extra item makes your early game even a little bit better. Yeah, these are very solid. Being able to protect your units, you can just keep having as full of a board as possible, and then growing them all to the strongest unit stats. This is going to be very strong. Now, Yuumi was one that was already pretty decent, but this is definitely going to improve you. I feel like this would kind of be a little bit more like B tier. Yuumi was solid, not insane. I don't necessarily think she's improved enough to go all the way up to A tier. Personally, I think it's definitely helping you, but I think the powers, while they're good, they're not like crazy insanely strong. Still very solid, very helpful. And Yuumi was already such like late game Yuumi. If you ever maxed out, she's already pretty good. So pretty solid tier list. I like how it's actually fairly balanced. And remember, this is not ranking the champions' individual strength. This is essentially how much improvement they are getting from their tier list. So we're looking at each one of these for how much power the tier list gives them, or not the tier list, sorry, the Constellation. So how much power the Constellation is giving them. So if the champion is already very strong and they aren't getting that improved by the Constellation, that's why they're going to be a little bit lower. I could even see A, since you keep your units alive so much better now, which is her main problem, but I'm fine with B. Yeah, I think you could have an argument to put her in A, but I'm happy with the B. Yeah, Morgana is still broken, and that's the thing. A lot of the champions, like champions that are at the top, are a lot of the weaker champions in the game because they just got so much extra power, which I think Riot did intentionally. They're like, hey, we know that some of these champions are on the weaker side, so we're just going to put in a little bit extra power in the constellations, whereas the champions they knew were already really strong, they're like, I don't know if it's as necessary. Morgana in D tier for even rows. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so I think that's pretty solid. I think we're all in a general consensus. I know some people probably move a champion one higher or one lower, but in general, I think all the champions are pretty well organized or fairly accurate. Again, that being said, we have just got the constellations. No one has experience with all of these or even any of them. Like for me, I have several champions at 5 stars and I have Viego at 6 stars, but I don't actually have the entire constellation maxed out. So technically I have no experience with any of the maxed out constellations, and I don't think many other people do as well. Yeah, Jin would very approve all the tiers of 4. Yeah, pretty happy with this. But thank you all for helping me. I'm sure this will change a lot once we actually get the champions and start playing with them a little bit more. That being said, since they're going to be adding like 2 to 3 new constellations every month, we're never really going to have a complete tier list, because as we get more experience playing them, they're going to add new champions in to just make everything more difficult. But pretty solid with how things have shaped up for now. Thank you for watching that video, especially if you watched it all the way through. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, a like and subscribe is greatly appreciated, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.